What's up, everybody? Welcome to the weekly partnership call. Today is a special day. We're going to be going over an activity pretty much for the entirety of the call. The lifeblood of our organization, of our job, of our career is activity. It's a full-blown contact sport. And if you don't put in the work to get the activity, the sales, the referrals, the commission checks will not come. So we got as far as I'm concerned, two activity generating monsters on the call, guest hosting with me today, Mr. Luis Moyano and James Seitz. So we're gonna be talking back and forth, answering some Q&A at the end for you guys. At the end, if you do have a question, please put it in the chat box on Zoom ahead of time and we can address it. Or if your question's too long and you don't want to type it out, just hit the little raise your hand button on Zoom and we will address it at the end. Luis, James, welcome.
Thanks, brother. Happy to be here.
Awesome. Well, right off the bat, I want to talk about setting appointments, right? Because we hear and we have it as a resource, right? We got appointment setters. People think it's the best thing since sliced bread sometimes, or they turn into lazy agents, and that's why they think it's the best thing since sliced bread. I myself, and I want your guys' opinions, I have never had an appointment setter. I've been doing this like 10 years, a little over, and I always set my own appointments for mortgage protection, for final expense, now for Medicare. James, you know, we were in the conference room for days and days and days setting up AEP appointments. What is your guys' take on that, especially for a newer agent? Should they be setting their own, or should they paying somebody to do it for them?
James, take it away, brother.
Okay. So I've been in the business going on, 5 years now, and I've had multiple appointment setters and they all fizzle out really fast. It becomes one of those situations where like you have one of those weeks where, a lot of people are not answering the phone. So you're like, oh, well, I can be doing a lot more things. I can be out in the field more. So I'll just get an appointment setter to call these leads that are not answering. And then it just ends up being a waste of time. They cannot do it the way that you can. They won't put in the same type of energy that you can. So I always kind of just found out that, just being able to just put in the work yourself is always going to give you the greatest opportunity as far as like setting your appointments and making sure like your appointments are actually going to be there. I mean, it's a whole strategy involved with like just the psychology behind talking to these clients and making sure that they understand that you're going to sit down with them or you're going to be calling them at a certain time if you're doing telesales. So from my experience, appointment setters has been a very short-lived action that I took, and all I do now is set my own appointments.
Cool. Let me go ahead and jump in. First of all, Pete, thank you so much for having me on. I love being able to share back with everybody and pass on a little knowledge. And going back to the appointment setting, right now, I have an appointment setter. When I started, I did not have an appointment setter. Right now, my appointment setter and I are going through some growing pains. I need more. I want more appointments. If I'm not busy and I'm not selling, I'm not a happy camper. That sucks for my wife. That sucks for my mother-in-law. That sucks for my kids. I want to be happy all the time. And for me to be happy, I got to produce. I got to meet people. I got to have a lot of appointments. And nothing is more frustrating than having an appointment in the morning, having one or two in the afternoon and one later on that for whatever reason you didn't set yourself and are not there.
Yeah,
and they're not there. You have this whole gap. And what else happens, right? Since my appointment setter is the one doing that for me, I may not even have like an additional, like the paper leads available for me to like get door knocking or make more phone calls or be active. So it's throwing me a little bit off my game, and I'm working on fixing that. But I do see some benefits at the same time. When it comes to being new, guys, this is your gym. This is your opportunity to get good at something. You're not going to find any professional athlete millionaire, any actor millionaire, any CEO millionaire that is not really good at what they do, right? And if they're really good at what they do, they're going to make a lot of money. We can make doctor money here. So hey, if you want to go to the doctor, you have a surgeon, operating on you, you probably want to have a really good surgeon, right? Same thing here. Be that surgeon, be really good. So part of that is going to be getting really good at your appointment and setting your own. So do not, and I repeat, do not get an appointment setter until you are that surgeon and you're making surgeon money so you can afford it. And even then, you might not even want to do that.
Yeah, a couple of things you guys and gals on the call have to remember about offloading your appointments. One, to Luis's point, two, no one's going to care about your business as much as you are. So if someone's wishy-washy on the phone and they're dealing with a pre-appointment setter, whether they're in your office or they're outsourced or they're overseas, whatever it is, no one's going to care about that set actually sitting, right? Because you have a set ratio and then you have a sit ratio. No one has 100% sit ratio, not even me. But no one's going to care about that set to sit ratio as much as you are yourself. Plus the fact you as an agent are probably going to have to train that appointment setter, right? If you're hiring a failed agent to be an appointment setter, it's not a good look. So if you're hiring a brand new person to set the appointments for you, who's going to have to train them? You. And if you're not good at it yourself, again, to Luis's point, they're only going to do half, a third, a quarter of what you could have done yourself. I'm going to put a number on this. I think if you are consistently setting more than 30 appointments a week, you have full autonomy to go get an appointment setter because you're in the field and you are crushing it. And you're in the field like, what is that? At least 25 to 30 hours a week of field time. Then you deserve an appointment setter. If you're not at 30 presentations a week, you should be perfecting your skills and setting appointments yourself. That's my personal preference, but I think that's advice to live by because the only reason to outsource your appointment setting is because you're literally too busy writing business. It's not because I don't like the phones or I don't want to get on the phones or I don't want to get out and door knock for those FE agents that draw activity up just by door knocking and not by appointment setting. It's not the lazy route out, right? It's I am literally too busy that I have to outsource a piece of my process, and that's phone setting because I should be out there completing money-making activities. But my argument would be you are not too busy if you have under 30 sits a week.
Can I add something to that, Pete?
Yeah.
So when it comes to our job and what we're doing, our job is not tough. Like we sit down with folks that are seeking our help and we write them business and we make money off of it. But I think one of the hardest parts about our business is actually picking up that phone. And something I learned a long time ago is like that phone in your mind can either weigh 1,000 pounds or it can be light as a feather. And it's really just what it comes down to, like how you're talking to yourself into picking up that phone. If you start really just telling yourself that it's not a big deal, like these people are reaching out to us. You know, these people are filling out forms, they're writing their information. Who's going to write down their date of birth, their favorite color, and like not expect a phone call? You know what I'm saying? I mean, like when's the last time, Pete, you told somebody your favorite color?
I have no idea.
Right? What's your favorite color, Pete?
So someone's telling you your favorite phone, but they're expecting somebody to call them. So with that in mind, you're like, all right, I mean, this is not that big of a deal. Just go ahead and give them a call. Once you can get over that mindset, like that whole like tug of war with yourself, then that part of the job just becomes so much easier. Once you can tackle the phones, you're like, you have an edge on at least 75% of the industry as far as agents go, because all agents hate the phones. Everyone, including myself, I hate the phones. But with that mindset, it doesn't seem like that big of a deal anymore, you know?
It's so true though, right? It's like, it's just not an enjoyable task, but it's a task you got to do. Like so many people how many people do you know that are super fit and they're like, I hate going to the gym, but I know that if I want to be fit and healthy, I got to go to the gym. It's kind of the same mindset. Or how many people do you know that hate their job but have to go to work every day? Go to work, baby.
And the money starts with the phones. Like if you're not on the phone, you're not making money. Unless you're out there, you're door knocking, you're spending all that extra time just to try to get in front of somebody. Do you know how much more efficient it is just to get on the phone and try to get on the phone and get in contact with them and set your appointments instead of having to door knock every single person? I mean, money starts on the phones. That's it.
100%. I was actually on Steel City, Dina and EJ's team call last night, talking about this specific thing and mindset, activity generation, etc. One thing that I brought up for all those people that hate the phones, including myself, I don't like dialing. It's not fun. You have to make it fun. And how I did it early on in my career was I attached a value amount to the dial. I did it for every piece of my business. If you really want to get granular with it, I know how much a door knock is worth to me, how much a referral's worth to me, how much a no-show is worth to me, which is crazy, right? Crazy specific. But if you attach a value amount, I knew when I was dialing for dollars, every time I picked up the phone and dialed, it was worth $7 to $8. Whether they answered, it was disconnected, they didn't answer, they were busy, they told me to go pound sand. Every time I made $7 or $8, right? Because I knew my numbers, my closing ratio, my average sale size, and I broke it down to as granular as how much a dial was worth to me. So if you are making 200 dials a day and you have the same closing ratios and same average premium that I do, you make $1,600 that day that you're dialing. Yeah. That's a very easy way to keep that positive mindset in your head and make sure that, like James said, the phone doesn't weigh 10,000 pounds when you go to pick it up, right?
Yeah, totally agree.
Guys, Luis, James, because you're both setting appointments and going into the field. I know we do have some telesale appointments on here, or telesale agents on here too. But do you guys have any specific strategies for either alleviating no-shows, building rapport when you're on the initial phone call? Like, what are some tips and tricks that you guys have specifically when you are dialing that improves your activity?
Lewis, you want to take it first?
Thanks, brother. Yeah, so some tips and tricks to be able to improve your activity when dialing. All right. Here's where I break it down, and let's kind of focus on. I do more mortgage protection now, so my lead flow is not as heavy. But I'm going to go back to my final expense days, and the lead flow that I would personally need to be able to get that would be huge, right? So I would technically set. I would get 50 leads, right? If 30 of those were new, great. I would go ahead and bring 20 leads that I haven't been able to contact or leads from the past and add it, but make sure I have 50 leads for me to start off with. 8 o'clock in the morning is that amazing time between people that are going to work to get started. So about 8 o'clock, I'm making my first dial and I'm going straight through one time every single one of them, all the way down. This way, out of those 50, let's say I set 5 appointments, 10 people tell me no. Fine, thank you. I have 5 appointments for only the next 2 days, Tuesday and Wednesday, right? I had a goal of 16 minimum between 8 and 8. This is final expense. You want to put the numbers in your favor. So then you're setting those people up. I have 35 leads for me to go through. Second time around, now it's like 10:30 in the morning. I go ahead and I call them twice. Every single one of them. Each person is a dial, not every phone call, right? So now 50 and 35, I'm at 85 calls already for the day. And then I keep subtracting. At the end of the day, I keep going back to all those people that are not answering the phone, the people that have not told me no, then I'm going to go right back to that. But I make sure that I take it as a job, right? I give myself the 8 to 5, the 8 to 6, or the 8 into whatever it takes for me to have enough appointments. If I hit my goal by noon and I have my 16 to 20 appointments already booked, perfect. Let me go ahead and hang out with the fam. Now I'm set. Now I can go ahead and pat myself on the back. Good job on the phones. Get out there. But I make sure my day is packed the next day. So the trick is don't waste time. And it's such a hard thing, to be honest with you. Like, don't waste any time. Get off social media. Focus. Write down how many calls you're making. Track your numbers. And make sure that you're being consistent. And don't worry. I always say this. Who cares about what the other person's going to say on the other line? It's irrelevant. They fill out a form, you have a job. You're either going to make him a customer or you're not. Everything else is completely irrelevant. So I just keep that mindset. And I think that mindset of production and activity leads me to have the appointments that I need.
Nice. Love that. James?
Yeah, one of the big things, and it's awesome that Leslie pointed this out. It's one of those things where when you're actually doing the face-to-face point. Are we talking specifically about telesales, or are we talking about
either one? Because I know you've done both.
Okay, so I'll do what I'm particularly used to, because I've been running mortgage protection final expense appointments pretty much my whole career. So one of the biggest things, the most important things, or one of the most important things that I feel like you have to have in your phone conversations is tie downs. Tie downs is specifically like towards the end of the conversation. It's when you're really describing a few things about the client, like, hey, Miss Jones, is the numbers better seen on your house or in your mailbox? Is there any kind of dogs or vicious cats I need to be aware of? What's the color of your roof? Is there a gated facility? Do I need a passcode to get in? Just actually leaning on like 3 of those questions at the very end, just to paint a picture that they know you're going to be there. Okay. And one of the other important things that I try to do is I try to name the date and the time within those tie downs at least twice. So I say, hey, Miss Jones, I got you down to 2:30 on Wednesday. Is it the colors on your house? What is it? Pink, blue, green, yellow? Any dogs, vicious cats? Awesome. And again, Miss Jones, that's Wednesday at 2:30. I'm going to be happy to see you. Hopefully I can help you out. And I'll see you then, okay? And then they give me clearance. Yes, I'll see you then. And then bye. So it just gives them a visualization that they're actually going to be seeing something. So
love the tie downs. Also, James did it subconsciously. I don't even know that he did it. I use, and I know James does it too, because we've ran in the field together. I use 30s to set on. People remember 9:30, 10:30, 11:30, 12:30 much more than 9, 10, 11, 12. It's psychology. There's no real reasoning behind it. It's just that people will remember 30s beforehand. And if you're in a highly populated area, I would let them know, listen, Joe and Mary, I'm not like the cable guy. I'm not going to give you like a 5-hour window that I'm going to show up within. I'm setting your appointment at 11:30, but the latest I will be there is noon. But count on me at 11:30 just in case there's traffic to cross town. I grew up in New Jersey. I was selling insurance in New Jersey. It took me like 45 minutes to go like 11 miles, right? So I would make sure I had that half-hour window. So that way I wasn't 6 minutes late and they were like, all right, deuces, I'm going to the food store. This guy's not coming. So that's an easy tie down. The other thing, if you guys are doing field sales, I train agents on my 4 C's. Like to James's point, what color is your roof? All this stuff. I did 4 C's. What color is your house? Is there a car in the driveway that I should be looking for? I know my GPS will probably take me there. And then do me a favor, Joe and Mary, go get a pen and a piece of paper because I need you to write down your customer confirmation code. This is something that I made up like 8 years ago, early on in my career. It's literally first initial, last initial, and I use my locker combination from high school because I remember it. I don't know why, but use any 6-digit number. It doesn't matter. It gets them to get up and write something down. And if you give them that confirmation code, like say it's John Smith, you're going to say it's J for John, S for Smith, 127796, whatever, doesn't matter. If they have that on a Post-it note or a piece of paper, when you show up to the house, that is like a 99% sale. Okay, so it makes them do something. And then the 4th C, so we got color of the house, car in the driveway, customer confirmation code. The 4th C is always asking them if they want coffee. Most of the people will say no. If they say yes, and you bring somebody a $5 latte from Starbucks, 99% of the time, that is also going to be a sale, right? Most of the time, people will forget that they said, yeah, oh, wow, that's amazing. I've never had a sales guy bring me coffee. Cool. I want, a vanilla chai latte from Starbucks. They will forget that they asked for that. And then you show up with the little carrier and they're like, oh my God, thank you so much. Come in. Sale, right? So if you guys are doing field sales, remember the 4 C's at all times: color of the house, car in the driveway, customer confirmation code, and ask them if they want coffee.
Huge, man. That's awesome. I've never brought anything like that for a customer, but I can see how helpful that is. The other ones I definitely have used. I got so tired of getting no shows in the final expense world that my biggest closing at the very end is I would say, hey, listen, I got GPS. Is your house going to come up and show up? It's going to be easy for me to find. Yeah. And then I'll say, all right, Pete, one last question. Are you good at keeping appointments, you said? Yeah, you are? Great. So am I. I'll see you tomorrow. I'm out.
Oh, that's a done deal right there.
Can't be more direct than that, right?
that's good.
That is a good one.
Yeah,
go ahead, James.
Just to add on what you were saying, that like that whole, bringing a $5 latte, it's almost kind of guaranteeing a sale. It's not necessarily going to 100%, it's always going to sell. but understandably, it's part of another psychological trade-off where if you're giving somebody something, they in their mind they feel like they have to give something back to you. Okay, so psychologically, if you're giving something, so that's why you always got to bring little things like handouts to your clients. Like give them a little handout like beforehand, like even if it's a business card, you're giving them something, because in normalcy, like within just our culture, if you give something to something, they expect to get something back as far as just human nature. So it's a pretty cool concept that you do that with the left.
And if you're in the field and you're a brand new agent, and you're like, oh my God, what if they all ask for coffee? I can't afford to bring them all $5 lattes.
Keep $1 cup from the gas station.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you go to. I like going to Starbucks because people do that and they're like, oh my God, this guy's crazy. The cable guy never brought me anything, or the solar guy that door knocked me didn't bring me anything, right? So bring a cup of coffee. If you want to go one step backwards, keep dog biscuits in your laptop bag. I swear to God, remember, James, we went out during AEP. Every house we went into, I was like, that dog like treats? And everyone was like, hell yeah, every dog likes treats. I got treats in my bag. And they were like, oh my God. Sale, right?
Yeah.
It's little things that will from the other salespeople that are constantly knocking on their doors or constantly calling them, right? Treat them like real people, like you were going to see a family member or a best friend the first time in like 6 months, right? Treat them real. I make a joke with everybody when I'm on the phone that I look a little bit like Michael Phelps coming up their driveway. It's a real conversation, right? Robot. Make sure when you're setting these appointments, whether you're door knocking or calling, you treat them like a person. Most important.
Dude, really quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's huge. Like you guys just blew me away with that one. I love that. I'm gonna go buy some dog treats right now. I'm gonna take my dog's treats and take it to the clients. on the psychology thing you guys are talking about, right? It's crazy how like this really becomes such a psychological piece of things. How many of you guys out there, right? I'm asking all the other agents, when they're offering you a water, a Coke, a beer, whatever it is, you automatically say no. You are now in their home, in their living room, and you're saying no to an offering, right? I think I saw a post on one of the chats. Chris Smith, you're here with us at Innovative. He said the amount of water bottles you collect almost dictates the amount of sales you make a day.
Yeah.
Take it. You never say no to what people out of their own kindness are offering you. I guarantee you this. I never offer anything to someone I don't like. I want them out of my house. So if they're offering you a bottle of water, if it's like your last appointment of the day and you like the person, I've had a beer or two with a customer. I'm not saying that you guys should, don't do that, but I've said yes in the past. So you obviously use your judgment. Don't drink and drive. No, it's not meant to be like that in this in this training, but just take and accept what people are offering you, because that's a sign of kindness, and that means that they like you.
And you don't have to drink it. Like James, we were in houses during AP that you probably don't want to use those glasses. They pour you a cup of coffee. It could just sit there next to you. They're not tracking how many sips you take.
Even if you just pick up the glass and put it back down. I mean, that's it. That's as easy as it is. But it's the greatest feeling in the world. Like when you finish your day and you have like 9 water bottles in your car, you're like, dude, I don't have to buy any water bottles now, and look at all these appointments that I just sat with. That's it. I mean, I just water bottles. Yes, it's a must. You always got to accept whatever, they're trying to offer you as far as like food. Even the coolest thing, what did we get? We got like a custom made knife one time.
That appointment was crazy. The guy went upstairs and brought like 2 knives down that he like whittled into this thing. And he was like, thank you guys so much. Take these. We're like, okay.
Wow, man.
Cool. It's crazy. Guys, let's talk about too, like, what are you guys doing in the field or between appointments, whether you're on telesales appointments or in the field, when your schedule is falling apart or you get no-showed, or you guys walking around Target aimlessly or like stopping 16 times for a meal? Like, talk about activity generation while you're actually out.
Yeah, I think James had walk away for a second, but I'll jump on that. And then, Peter or Adam, if you guys could just mute everybody else for whatever reason, we get some background. But to go ahead and share with you guys what you do in between. So no shows are going to happen, right? And if we're focusing on final expense, which we should, right? Because the majority of the people are doing that, then I'm always going to say this. You want to overstack your schedule, right? Literally, if you're going to be out there for 8 hours, try to get 10 to 12 appointments in. Like, that's a lot. You're like, I'm never going to make it to them. But ask yourself this question. Would you rather no-show somebody or somebody no-show you?
Boom.
Right? All day. So I'd rather no-show somebody than have somebody no-show me. So if that happens, I'm on to the next house. If I show up a little bit early, hey, who cares? Right? If my next house is like 3 minutes and the other one's an hour away, then I'm going to go to the next one before I go to my next appointment because it's that much more convenient for me. And more likely than not, these people are just home, right? And if you show up early, it's, what's that saying? It's better to do and ask for an apology later than to ask for permission first, something along those lines. But you show up and you're like, hey, listen, I'm super early. I apologize. My last appointment was literally like 3 streets down and my next one's about an hour away. Are you okay if I can try to help you now? It's hard to say no to that, right? As long as you're able to go ahead and justify it and say the reason why. And if they can't, say, hey, not a problem. I get it. I'm more likely not going to be late in coming back. But if not, I'll reschedule it, whatever it is. But the thing is, have so much available. And if you don't have so much, if you did a bad job at scheduling your appointments, if you were not able to hold yourself accountable, well, you're going to have every single lead available that you own, put them all in MapQuest, Road Warrior. I mean, the amount of technology that we have available to us now, it's unbelievable, right? Map it all out. Now you have X amount of time in between. You can tell whose house is close to where you are, that you can just show up, door knock. I like to I like to door knock and get in that same moment. But if I don't, I'm at least scheduling the appointment for later. I'm not the ones that will show up and then try to come back because, I'm here now. Like, let's do things. That's what I like to do between my no-shows.
Love it. James?
Yeah, I mean, just you said it perfectly, Louis. I think one of the things that, like, the in-between appointments, like being able to just try to fill up your white space as much as possible, is important. Obviously you're going to have those days. If you're really working on those phones hard enough, like you should be, you should have your day full. So if you do have a no-show and you do have like your stack of leads in that area, you can obviously take a look at that, use the technology that Luis mentioned. Road Warrior is good. Route for me is good. But just be able to optimize your route. Anyways, so if you have a no-show, then just pick up those leads and just take that hour that you have. You can just dial some more leads. Schedule your next day. Just if you're out and about, if you end up like not have an appointment because like someone doesn't show up, I mean, it's much more efficient, much more profitable for you just to pick up that phone and start dialing again for the next day than to go to the mall and go check out shirts for an hour. I mean, it's one of those things, like, how are you using your time to be able to make yourself more money? What's more important to you, to go, window shop or, try to make some money for that week for you? So that's basically it.
Love that. The other thing I want to add to that too is 2 and 2s. A lot of the captives teach this, right? That's where I learned it. It's not a new concept. I always made 2 dials before I showed up at the house and 2 dials after I left the house. So this is not a no-show. This is like, as I'm pulling up to the place, maybe I'm 2 minutes early, I'm going to make 2 dials and try to set appointments. And then after I leave the house, make a sale or not, I'm going to make 2 dials and try to set 2 more appointments. It's just consolidating your activity to micro amounts of time to really maximize your time when you're in the field or on call days in telesales, right? You want to have as much consolidated activity as humanly possible. Phone days are phone days, field days are field days. And when you are out in the field or when you have constant appointments in a telesales perspective, all you want to be doing during that time is money-making activity. Like James said, don't be meandering the mall local to you or stopping 16 times for like food breaks or whatever. Like, pack your lunch and consolidate your activity while you're out there.
Dude, let me jump on that really quick because, again, I'm so thankful to be here again, guys, just because not only like I feel like I'm pouring back, but like both of you guys are just giving me little nuggets that are just pumping me up. And, I'm going to start using and literally implementing. One of the nuggets that I heard from another training is this whole T formation, right? Like I've never done a T formation door knock before. And somebody else even has like this little door hangers that if they're not there saying, hey, I was at your neighbor's house helping them get some life insurance. If you'd like to get some life insurance, call me. Okay. That's just like free marketing, free advertising, right? And the T formation, you go to the two houses in the side, left and right. And I don't know if it's the three houses in the front of that so that you can kind of just make a square and get back and door knock them. Hey, hi, I'm here because I was actually just meeting with your neighbor. They were looking to get some information for mortgage protection, final expenses. I don't know if it's something that you might use or not, but if you can, I'll be happy to set up an appointment, or I can tell you right now. And you might get in, you might not, but you'll definitely won't if you don't try.
Or you might even get a phone call like later that week or later that month or a couple months down the road. You totally forget that person, who that is. I mean, I haven't tried the T formation, but it seems so easy, and you're reputable because you just helped out the lady or the gentleman right next door. So obviously they're going to talk to each other. They talk to each other. Then they were like, oh, well, I should get on call. I need to get some life insurance anyways. I mean, exactly to your point, Luis, free marketing. That's it. A business card, something that costs 2 cents can make you a couple grand.
Yeah, I mean, I would even go as far as like going to, I don't know, Kinko's even around anymore, or Office Depot, I guess, right? And printing out some little mailers saying exactly that, put your logo on it, put IFG logo on it, but say, hey, I was helping a neighbor get some information on life insurance. If you need it, I'm a broker. Book your appointment here in this link, or call me. Like you're saying, James, who knows? Like it might be an extra appointment a week just by putting that little effort. And it goes back to activity, right? Get to work, people.
There's no such thing as too much activity, right? When you're out there generated, just like there's no such thing as too much money, there's no such thing as too much activity in this business. Another good takeaway too is if you're dialing correctly and you're scheduling correctly, whether you're scheduling all weekend, maybe you're doing like I used to do a Wednesday, Thursday for a Friday, Saturday, Sunday schedule when I was full-time in the field. Maybe you're dialing Monday for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday for Friday, Saturday. Whatever you're doing, make sure your schedule is loaded like both these monsters have talked about. Also, feel free to set up bridge appointments. Again, this is not a new concept. I didn't make it up. But if you have someone on the phone that's kind of wishy-washy, I don't know when I'm going to be there, whatever, or your schedule is packed, and you're still dialing because that's what you're supposed to do in your consolidated dial day is dial all freaking day. If your schedule is packed up, set a bridge appointment. Listen, Joe and Mary, my schedule is pretty packed, but I guarantee you I'll show up sometime in between 11 and 1. Would that be okay with you? Yes. That way, to Luis's point before, if your schedule falls apart or someone no-shows you or 2 or 3 people no-show you, now you can set up 2 to 3 bridge appointments, quote unquote, over a 90-minute or a 2-hour gap. Those people you can go see. And you set them the same way. You just give them a 90-minute window or a 2-hour window that you're definitely going to be there. Still color the house, car in the driveway, customer confirmation code, and ask them if they want coffee. And that way you can really pack your schedule and set 12 to 15 appointments a day, no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So well said. I couldn't have anything else.
Guys, any questions from anybody on the call? You guys can type them in the chat box. You can raise your hand. Murray wanted me to make an announcement real quick. I don't know if he's still on the call, but talking about final expense leads. So Murray and the team have been working on this tirelessly. Later today in the lead store, so leadstore.net, you will be able to find final expense Facebook leads now, brand new lead, okay, for only $22. Or if you're a telesales agent, you can do a statewide Facebook final expense lead campaign. It's not Medicare. This is true final expense. And the statewides are only $13. So if you want specific counties, 22. If you're field, that's totally cool. Statewide, 13. If you have questions or you need leads like right now and you can't wait till the end of the day, which I'm sure I hope is everybody's problem, email Matt Murray, mmurray@teamifg.com, MMURRAY, just in case you guys don't know, at teamifg.com. But once again, $22 Facebook final expense leads, cheap, cheap, cheap compared to what I'm seeing in the industry, and statewide final expense campaigns for $13 a piece.
Awesome.
Great. I'm so happy that we got that out there. We've been working hard on making just lead availables to all you as much as possible in the partnership, right? Like I honestly believe we have such an amazing program that we have in place, and it's going to keep growing and getting even better, and just being able to give back and provide like that, it's huge. But now we talked on leads a little bit. Do you guys want to? I have a question for the both of you, right? So there's Facebook, there's mail, there's this, there's that. Like, what's enough? What's not enough? What sources would you go with? Let's talk a little bit on leads.
Cool. James, you want to go? You want me to go?
Yeah. So I think one of the most important things is accessibility. So I know a lot of newer agents, they try to figure out like, where do I get my leads? Right. I mean, like there's so many different, I guess, advertisers saying like, buy leads here, buy leads here. What's really great about IFG is they have their own lead store. So you can actually, depending on what you're trying to target, final expense, mortgage section, Medicare, MedSup, like IFG is able to provide that in a lead, in a certain type of lead. So they got, I mean, what did we recently purchased their own mail house like 6 months ago, and got that up and running. So you got mail leads, you got mail drop leads, you got Facebook leads, you got SEO leads, you got all these different lead sources. So, but one of the biggest things that we got to utilize is leadstore.net will be able to help provide most of those lead concepts that you're looking for. So if it's Facebook or mail drops. And what's really cool about IG is they're actively working on making that site better and more just available as far as mindset goes. Like this is something that you need to utilize each and every week. Make sure you're putting new leads on your desk every single week. You know, this is like one of those things that when we're talking about leads, and I'm sorry if I'm just jumping headfirst into this conversation, but I think leads is like the lifeblood of your career. You need leads, you need new people to talk to. Leads are like the food in your grocery store. If you own a grocery store, you have no food in it, you're not going to make any money. Okay. So you have to have leads all the time. Have a set budget each week. When I was out in the field like 6 days a week, I had at least $1,000 every week set aside for leads. But at that time, I was making over $10,000 a week. And that was just on autopilot. But I knew it all started with the leads. And then from the leads, it went to the phone script. And then when it went from the phone script, it went to the door. And that's where I sold the policy. But if you automate from leads to door, you'll be fine.
Hey, James, just because you brought it up, just budget aside, right? Because everyone's going to have a little bit of an excuse with the budget thing. But budget aside, for you to run on a full scale, how many leads and how would you source them?
So when I was running, I would have to have at least 50 leads a week. Okay. Because I want to book at least 20, 25 appointments. Okay. So I got to the point where I was able to get 50 leads a week. I was able to book 50% of them. Okay. Now I know newer agents, you might need to get a little bit more. So what my main niche was mortgage protection. So I had it on an automated thing. So I had it, leads come in, I'm paying for them. We're working on that right now with IFG as far as the BPL, but getting a set number of leads to come in each week and then have fillers. So have like Facebook. If you don't have the right amount of leads, you can get Facebook leads and they'll come in 24 hours. So you'll have filler leads just in case you don't feel like you have enough leads to be able to get you to the appointments that you want. Don't even worry about money because that's what you're doing. You're investing into your business to make more money. So if I give you $1 and you give me back $3, I'm going to give you $1 every time. You know, I mean, it's just simple math at that point. So if I'm when I first started, I started out with, I think like $300 a week, but then I was making $3,000. So I was 10xing my investment. So I'm putting in 300 and I'm like, well, shoot, I got more money now. Now I'm putting 400 and 500. And eventually I got up to $1,000 a week and I was making over $10,000 a week. So it was just simple math. That's what you got to get past. And that's just like you fighting with yourself again. That's it. So.
Yeah, man, 100% on point. I don't want to call it. Well, Josh Civic, dude, he spends like 16 grand a month on leads, like, right? And some people have the
He's rolling
limitation.
money now,
Huh?
you know? He's just rolling. He's just swimming. He got an Olympic swimming pool. He's just, you know.
But even if it's just what you're saying, right? You give me one, I get 3 back. Here's 20. Give me 60. You know, if I have 100,000, I'm going to give it to you to make 300,000. Like, that's just, if it really is, obviously it takes work. But if it is that, then do that, man. What you got on that? What you got on that aspect, Pete?
Yeah, at the end of the day, a lead's a lead, right? I never want to hear you guys, oh, these are bad, oh, terrible, oh, whatever. Because when I first started, I didn't have a lot of money, especially in the independent space, right? I came out of captive, I went independent. I went with age leads, hardcore, for like 2 straight years, flying all over the country, selling age leads, like $3, $4, $5, $6, $7 leads. Now, I'd always have 200 to 300 a week on hand, right? So I could go through and set 30 to 40 to 50 appointments throughout that given week. So a lot of my original lead purchases were aged leads. The most important thing, to James's point too, is the consistency of purchasing said lead. You have to be either on a reoccurring lead order every single week, or you need to manually purchase things like aged leads, Facebook leads, telemarketing leads for filler every single week. The worst thing that I see agents do, especially brand new ones, is they say, okay, I'm going to get like 500 aged leads because I saw Pete do aged leads, and I'm going to do that for the month. And then I'm going to work them to death for the month. And then they didn't purchase any other leads along the way, right? You have to get in a rhythm of consistently refilling your inventory every single week. I was on a Facebook lead order campaign for Medicare. I was getting like 75 leads a week, right? Our 25 performance-based ones and then 50 additional ones on a weekly basis. Sometimes you don't get to everybody. Sometimes you crush it and you talk to like 40 people during the week, whatever. But because of our technology in the CRM, as long as you're on a consistent reoccurring lead order, it doesn't matter how old those leads get. You'll always be able to go back and sell them. Set up a text campaign, set up an email campaign, set up a ringless voicemail campaign. We have the tangible assets at your fingertips to really squeeze the juice out of whatever lead order you guys can afford to purchase. The other thing, and why we constructed it this way, is leverage your marketing bonuses on the partnership program to level up your lead spend. To James's point, you should be 10xing whatever you're investing in leads. So let's say you're brand new to the partnership. If you're on this call, welcome. You're brand new. You say, I'm going to spend $300 this first week on leads. You go out in the field or you start calling, right? If you're doing telesales and you write $3,000. Well, guess what? We're going to pay you an additional 5% of whatever your compensation is on what you made. So let's say it's $150. Well, now your lead spend can go from 300 to 450 the next week. Use our money, use the marketing dollars. That's what they're there for. Now we pay them as cash. We don't mandate that you reinvest them in their business. It's just suggested, but you should be doing it until you get to a civic style level and you can spend $4,000 a week on leads, no sweat, right? Use our money to reinvest perpetually into your business.
Yeah. That's, I literally, you jumped into my head talking about the CRM, right? Like, how cool is, I wish I would have had this a couple of years ago, because all those leads that were generated from Facebook automatically get a text message. They almost book themselves half of the time. That's just, it's insane. But to all the people in the partnership that are not leveraging the CRM and putting that into use, it's amazing the things that it does. So get on it.
And Matthew Murray, he does a technology call for the CRM every week. So it's one of those things that we got to utilize the opportunities that we have as far as our resources go. So if you're not used to the CRM, I mean, I think between Matt Murray and Ryan Strathmeyer, they built that whole thing out. So to go ahead and accommodate us. So you know, if you're not used to it, just jump on one of those phone calls and just learn a little bit about it. Your mind will be blown at how useful that is.
Even better, James, that they have on the actual CRM, they have a link like on the left side of previous training. So like if you want to learn how to do this, click here. If you want to learn how to do this, click here. It's already there. And then you have the support every Tuesday morning at 8:00. Wake up early, you'll be okay. And get on there and ask questions, right? It's awesome.
That's cool.
Absolutely. Guys, we don't want to take the whole hour because we know you guys want to go out and write business. Just to summarize real quick what these two monsters have been saying the entire call. 1, consolidate your activity. Make sure phone days are phone days and field days are field days and call days are call days and telesales days are telesales days, right? Make sure you're solidifying your appointments to alleviate no-shows. Bring them coffee, ask them the color of the house, make jokes with them. Make sure you're treating them like a real person. Make sure you're not outsourcing your dialing unless you have at least 30 presentations a week and you are too busy to make phone calls for yourself. And finally, habitually reinvest in a reoccurring lead order every single week. And we promise you guys, you will have success. That's it for today. Luis, James, I really appreciate you guys. Thanks so much for taking the time out of your busy schedules to hop on this call. Partnership guys and gals, we appreciate you. Keep crushing it and reach out to us if you need anything. We'll talk to you all soon.
Later.
See ya.